is there opportunity to actually make money as an individual of selling, let's say, your data or, privatizing it?
Before I get to answering your question, can I just touch back on 3 companies you previously mentioned? And I think I just wanted to highlight another use case for the use of data for these companies. And we use Amazon and how, so we were aware that, Amazon has built themselves up to the scale and scope that they are, but obviously using data to be more focused in terms of how they advertise, how they sell, and how they market and all of that. So we look at the onset of lockdowns and like the global lockdown and the coronavirus impacting people's lives. So with Amazon, with now what lockdown brought upon is, obviously not being out in public, staying home and social distancing and all of that. And obviously Amazon is all digital. And there's never really a store. There was never a store that people had to go to interact with the company. But Amazon was faced with this problem now is obviously they had a bigger influx than what they could handle. And they had to manage their orders and deliveries in terms of just sending out essential goods during that period. And what they did using data was so ordinarily where they'd use their data to get you to buy more and to spend more. They use their data to stop people from buying and selling more. And it was just little tricks and things that they did where ordinarily where you'd log onto the Amazon homepage, for example, you'd see maybe a banner at the top with the promoted items and the hottest items and all of that. So just within this and trying to get people to buy less, they removed the banner at the top and maybe some things like on and also with their quick turnaround times for delivery. So let's say it was maybe 2 to 3 days delivery, and now they make delivery a month or 5 months or down the line. Just all these little things where they already know how to get you to buy. So it stands to witness that the reverse is that they know how to not get you to buy. And in this instance, they had to do the opposite of data monetization. So they use their data to not monetize, but to stop the influx of cash. So there's 2 different ways. There's multiple ways you can use your data. And obviously at this stage, when Amazon now using that data, they weren't even using data. This was their knowledge of, how to get people to buy and spend money and how to keep you in tune. How we make sure Odwa is always checking in on Amazon at least once a day or once a week to see, what specials or sales we might have. And if we get you on our platform often enough, if we get you on, let's say 7 times a week, what are the chances of you buying at least once or twice? Or Amazon, they might be trying to get you to at least buy once or twice. And now across I don't know how many clients or people they have, but let's just say over the 1 billion people that they have. If a billion people, if they can get 1 billion people to sign on at least once a day, and from those 7 times in a week, if you purchase at least once or twice, we're really looking at about 1 billion, 2 billion purchases from like a smallest little average. So I think I just wanted to highlight how you can use your data to, obviously you want people to buy or you want to monetize that or get people to do something. Or on the flip side, you can use that same data to stop them from doing something.
To influence customer
influence
behavior.
Yes, that's a term, influencing. So, and this is what they had to implement in order to prevent the whole system from crashing and all and the likes. But that was like another use case of how, and this is now we are knowledge. You could never do that with data or even information. Knowledge, and this is knowledge that they've built up over the years. But to have this knowledge, what do you need? The data. So it's all a cycle. Nothing happens in isolation.
That being said, now, do you think then Amazon is going to take everything because there is that fear now, because they know so much about you and they can influence? And I mean, as you've just stated out now, like they can influence how you move about. We've had irresponsible use of data with Facebook being in the headlines, where obviously with these small groups that keep popping out of nowhere. Do you think then government needs to come in, or society as a general needs to be more aware of which of these companies we are allowed to thrive, if that makes sense?
Yes.
My question is, how do you regulate these companies from working ethically?
So, yes, you actually did sort of not answer the question, but provided possible answers. And for me, I wouldn't say necessarily that, government is the best to do this. but they have a role to play in terms of they are the ones that, write the legislations, and part of government is obviously the people that enforce these legislations. So there is a role that they play, but it's like government shouldn't act in isolation when writing this legislation. So I think this is where now civil society and people come in and add our voice. And to not get off topic, but ultimately this is how democracies are meant to work, a representation of the people and the laws and all of that working together. But now if government is just solely in charge of writing these laws and regulations, then we quickly get to a point where there could be a disconnect, especially now if they're writing, let's say, the security or digital privacy laws, but now these laws are aimed at the financial sector, for example. But now at no stage were subject matter experts consulted, and then now this law comes about, and professionals like you and people in the field daily, but they're like, there's no logic behind certain legislations or rules that they put in. And so you can quickly get to a point where you say, okay, someone just woke up, for example, and wrote this out. They thought this seems good, Government needs to work with the people in order to get the right laws and the best laws out. And then now we look at civil society and all. So these laws and regulations could start from a point of government, or it starts from now, civil society people raising their voice or concerns about how these companies just have a free reign, and we can't, they're not accountable to no one, or, there's no way for us to get recourse. So once that need for law or regulation, let's say, has been identified, and then now, we move that up to Parliament or lawmakers to write this in. And if we think really now about just also on the topic of privacy, privacy laws are still very, very new. Privacy laws in the digital scope and scale are still fairly, fairly new. If we look at in the South African context, POPI, the Protection of Personal Information Act. So that was signed into law in 2013. Yeah, I think it's Act 3 of 2013, if I'm not mistaken. So 2013, that was about 7 years ago. But POPI is only really, and it's been coming into effect in bits and pieces. And the most recent bits of the POPI Act itself came into effect the 1st of this month. And it will only fully be in force, I think, by next year. The actual act and the law and what POPI prescribes for, that will only be fully in effect by next year. So I don't know, I can't remember which time next exactly. Let's say January. So if January 2021, all companies need to be, or all data processes, it's not even companies, it can be individuals or people that process data and other people's personal information. So the law prescribes as to how that information should be secured, looked after, and the people, individuals that say within your company or corporation that should be data stewards or responsible for making sure that the data is safe and can't be tampered with and all. So now let's say the law is coming into full effect in January next year. There's still another whole year before enforcement starts. And now we're talking about a law that was signed in 2013, and 8 years later is now when law enforcement can start coming after companies that are not in compliance or in breach.